So this is a new project. This is a Craftsman, the limited edition GCV160. It's the has a Honda engine on it. Looks like it's in great shape. Now I have to admit I did go and clean it already, but the only reason I cleaned it, there was a bunch of oil, you know, down here and around this edge. You can still kind of see a little bit of residue there. And it was just oil dripping. I think they just overfilled. They just put oil and filled it to the top. They didn't use the dipstick. But I'll find out. I'm going to go ahead and probably drain all that oil out. I'll show you how to do that. We'll fill it back properly. The complaint is, like many others, it has this automatic choke that you turn on, and when you crank it, it starts up and it automatically drops back down as it warms up. But this one, it cranks up, revs up, and then dies. You know, so I'm going to take the carburetor apart, give it a good cleaning, and make sure the gas tank is good and clean. When I looked down inside, it looked like there was something down at the bottom. But overall, this mower looks like it hasn't been used much at all. Even underneath, it's very clean. It looks like it's been used a few times, but it's in great shape. And we'll continue on with the usual, just the tune-up. I'll check the spark plugs, make sure they're fine, clean them off if I need to, and I'll probably sharpen the blade. But the main objective is to clean out the carburetor and drain and refill the oil. So let's get started. And we'll start with taking off the air cleaner. Pops right out. See, that's not bad. And that feels kind of oily down at the bottom here. Yep, down here too. So maybe that overfill of oil, maybe it's causing it spewing out of the carburetor too, but who knows. We'll find out. But gas is off. These two nuts here hold this whole assembly and the carburetor behind it on. This bolt bolts to this bracket, and then we need to take the bracket off also. So let's get everything loosened up. It looks like it's a 10mm. And I'm just popping everything loose for now. This one's on there tight. There it goes. So when I pull this off, I'm going to hold my hand back here. I don't know if you can see this. And I'm going to hang on to the carburetor and the linkage so it doesn't all fall out in place. I just want to get this initial housing out of here. And I'll take this hose right here, this air hose off of there. Spacers coming off. The gasket looks like in good shape. These little spacers came off of there. let's finish taking this bracket off. Get it out of the way. So when you take this off, you'll see the linkage here. Let me see if I can get a good close-up for you. See the links here? This real small one for the spring. Just take account of where this goes. This goes on the very end of the tip there, and then your throttle linkage to the governor and everything goes through here. So we'll take that off. Just make sure you don't. There's your spring, and there's the linkage, and we should be able to just rotate it around. There it goes. So now let's take the fuel line off. It's got that little bitty clamp on it. Slide that back. It's on there pretty tight. Just gently squeeze on it and work its way free. There we go. Started to move. And it should be able to come off. And just gently doing that. I don't want to break the fuel line there. So the bowl is full of gas, and it did come out, so it can't be clogged up that much. But I'm going to leave that gasket on there. I don't really want to damage it. I'm going to try to use all the same gaskets on this time around. Get this thing cleaned out and put it all back together. If the gaskets don't seal properly, then I'll get the gasket kit. And so the first thing I'm going to do, you check everything's moving freely. That's no problem. This is moving, but you see there's some junk in there. I've been cleaning it off. It feels gritty, but the spring is fine. Alright. So here's your bowl. It's still leaking a little gas in there. And these are both 10 millimeter. Crack that open. Yeah, even that gasket in there looks good, but and it's very clean. If you want to check your bowl, you just take your little hinge off of here. Take that off, and there's a pin. And this is very similar to a Breeze and Stratton, all that good stuff. There's usually a gasket down in here. Let me see if you can see that. See, this is where that little pin goes in. Just make sure not to drop that off. So there's a gasket in here, and there's another needle valve down in here. One thing to be sure to do, this needle valve down here. Now I have a little bitty screwdriver that works pretty good, but the actual tool, is a little better. I mean, it's of course it's made specifically for this diameter with a flathead end on it, so that it will apply even pressure on the on this little needle valve while it's coming out. But if you're real careful, you can get it out of there. There it goes. And there it is. So we'll make sure that's cleaned out. And the rest of it, you'll see it peeking out. If it doesn't fall straight out, you can kind of push it from the inside. Just push it down. There it is. There we go. So let's go in here, and this one you'll definitely need something very thin like this needle, and clean out all the little ports. Okay, so it's clean there. You can see it start to shoot out of the side ports there. Alright, that's good and clean. So let's put it all back together. Head it upside down, slide it in the slot. Yep. Pop it into place. Everything's good and clean. The gasket looks good. And it looks like it's a cork gasket, not a plastic, so it'll probably last a little longer if you ask me. Alright. Let's put her back on. Okay, so here we are. Let's put all this back together in reverse order. Remember, your plate goes on first. And your carburetor on that. Then this plate, then the cover, and then it all goes in at the same time. It's kind of a pain, but once you do it, I mean, it's no big deal. But just got to hold everything in place. But first, I'm going to get our linkages back together. So remember, on these two holes here, the spring goes on the smaller outer one, and then the linkage goes on the next one. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and put the fuel line back on. I'm going to disconnect it from back here later and make sure our fuel line's clean. There's our fuel line. Let's get our little clamp on. It's a tiny clamp. Goes. Okay, let's see if we can line this up, make sure everything's clean. This gasket is split, so it kind of worries me, but we'll see how it works. I have a feeling I'm going to have to replace it. Goes on. All right. make sure, clean everything off. When I was looking at the inside of the plate, I'd already cleaned it, but there was a bunch of oil and sludge in here. So I don't know where that was coming from. It's not coming out of the air tube. Now these little spacers came off. Don't worry, they're just actually inserts on this cover. You see the way that these little inserts tap in. They usually don't come out that easy. Just slide them back into place, press them back into place, whatever. They might go in better from the other side. Yeah. There you go. And they're just inserts so that when you're tightening this thing down, when you start, you know, tightening it down pretty hard, without the inserts, your plastic's going to crack. So that's what that's for. There's this gasket. And we'll put it on the air cleaner. That lines up in place. I like to insert the 2 bolts while you're doing this, and that's keeping everything in place. And don't forget this little air tube when you're cranking it on. The hose came off. I forgot to put that in place. So that goes. One interesting thing I noticed when I was putting it on the first time, see that little flange right here? I had it on the wrong side of our throttle, or the choke. Make sure it's on this side. I noticed it when I was about to tighten everything down, so I took it apart again. So here we go again. Let's get all this lined up. Get our bracket lined up. I like it. All right. Put the air cleaner back on. And there she blows. Alright, let's see if we can start it up. Spark plug is connected. It's got gas. Put it on the choke. Awesome. Sounds like it's starting to run smooth. Had to get it warmed up and get the fuel flowing. But that's awesome. After cleaning out the carburetor, and you saw in the other video where I changed the oil, it was overfilled. Cleaned it all up and it's running smooth. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and look for more videos on DIY maintenance and repair.